Okay, ladies and gentlemen, moving on. Our next speaker is an accomplished Agile practitioner, coach, trainer, lean change agent, and program manager with 19 plus years of exemplary experience. She is involved in conducting workshops and mentoring sessions towards building an adaptive mindset across individuals, communities, and domains. She has also trained and mentored C-level executives, leaders, and managers to help build an adaptive leadership mindset and drive lean change. She is presently working as a change catalyst in Mind Spaces. And today, she is here with us to talk about high-performance team requirements needed to be successful in DevOps. With a thunderous round of applause, please welcome Ms. Sarika Kharbanda.
Okay, good morning. Not loud enough energy. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm still louder than you. Good morning. Okay, that's some energy. Good. Sorry for that. Okay, let's start from the beginning. No good morning again, but we'll just go forward. So culture, which is pretty much a topic dear to my heart, but I'd like to start with a quick introduction of mine. I'm Sarika Kharbanda. I work for Mind Spaces as a brand which comes out of my legal entity, SK's Business Solutions Private Limited. I consider myself to be an international professional who has traveled pretty much across the globe, worked professionally a lot in Europe with diverse cultures, and culture comes to me automatically. A lot of it that I also have acquired in my experience, having worked with Singapore, Czech, the Nordic countries, a lot in Europe actually, and a lot across India. Pretty much across the globe, understanding what culture means to people, what work culture could mean to different cultures across the world too. So that's been quite an interesting experience for me in my journey. I look at my experience as a number of experiments that I've conducted, which is pretty much across, I think, more than 19 or 20 years so far. And I think it's given me good insight into what I'd like to share with people now after getting all that experience. And that's been across a diverse set of organizations across the globe, IT, mostly banking, and non-IT, a lot of them now. The last stint that I was doing outside India was leading the Agile transformation for the DBS Bank in Singapore. And that's been an awesome journey again, and taking the banking, Agile in banking forward, right from, when you say transformation, it's of course top, bottom up, and across. With these experiments that I have been conducting with myself and organizations working across the 20 years, I pretty much thought that, okay, looks like the world's changing around me, and I need to change myself too. That's what I figured during my experience. So I look at this world as a VUCA world. Anyone who knows what VUCA stands for? There is a gift for every question I ask. You want to take a guess? It's a VUCA world. What does VUCA stand for? It has everything to do with what you do in Agile. Sorry? Volatility, that's correct for V. What about the others? Uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, as long as you're not checking Google. Okay. I forgot to mention that. Don't check Google for my answers, okay? You'll find them. But okay, I don't know who said what, but you can come and collect your gift during the networking event from me, okay? Be honest, tell me that you gave me the answer, okay? I will trust you. Okay, so given that it's a VUCA world around us, I definitely started looking at the world differently. I started looking at organizations as systems that are complex adaptive systems. You hear a lot of this also being said by people like Jez Humble, and there's a whole field that talks of complexity, it talks of complex adaptive systems, and that's the kind of world we are in today, which are volatile, uncertain, ambiguous, and high complexity. And we as human beings are awesome, complex individuals because our brains are complex. So we should not forget. Remember your first Agile principle, people and or individuals and interactions over processes and tools, right? People are important today. So I looked at organizations as complex adaptive systems. I changed my behavior because that was going to be the only way to adapt and move forward in today's world. I looked at talking to organizations, bringing a different culture in organizations, asking different questions, not the same questions that I used to ask in the previous life, let's say, changing my approach to asking questions, building growth mindsets is what I call it, and also bringing and achieving environments and helping organizations achieve environments that are conducive for a different workplace, because you need that today. I did a lot of lean change experiments, which is what this shows on the slide too, where I look and find what's the pace of change that an organization can adapt to, what are the insights, where are we as an organization today, how do I implement this change, what are the best options that I can think of to bring about any change, and then look at what are the best options that can be implemented or experimented into an organization to bring about that change. So yes, build a culture of trust, build a culture of safety, where individuals and teams perform highly and move towards being high-performing teams only if they believe that environment is trustworthy for them to perform in. So that's been my goal. With that, I just conclude myself to say I didn't really want to be or do anything different by trying to change others, because you cannot change others no matter how much you try. You have to change yourself. If you change yourself, you can start influencing and making that change viral. If I try to change you and tell you, hey, no, you were brushing teeth twice a day, now you have to brush teeth 4 times a day, you're not going to start that unless you yourself are convinced. So if I can show you why brushing my teeth 4 times a day is going to help you, you will start changing. So what I do, in a nutshell, I am the change that I want to see in the world. And that's a nutshell summary of what I do, because I want organizations to move from being adaptive to being more transformational. How I differentiate between an adaptive organization and transformational is very simple. Adaptive organizations respond to changes, while a transformation organization thrives on changes. And that's what we need in a VUCA world today. So that's me. And that's a long description of me. I thought it would be easier telling you a story, but yeah, you can talk to me if you want to know more about me. Yeah? So let's have an exercise of not more than 2 minutes. It's a per table exercise where I just want you from each table to think about what are the top 3, if not more, characteristics of a high-performing team. Actually, Dr. Niladri has given all the answers, so it should be very easy to pick up. And you probably already do that in your team, since all of you are following DevOps, right? You are implementing it. So I'm going to give you exactly 2 minutes. I am watching the timer here. Think of maybe the top 3 characteristics that you believe are important for a high-performing team. And the table that shouts the answers first is obviously going to be the winning table. Yep, we have the answers. OK, we'll just wait 30 seconds. I'll ask you. OK, next is you. OK, that's the third one. Hang on. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've spotted 4. OK, let's hear 1, table 1. Hang on.
Hello, everyone. As a group, we came up with the 3 things which matter most here. One is trust, another is collaboration among all the people.
OK.
And they have to be self-organized or self-motivated individuals within the team.
OK. 2 of the 3 will strike into my list, but hang on. Okay. Just hang on. Sorry. Yeah. That was second table, yes.
So people who know each other better, okay, so that they can work very quickly amongst each other. There is no hierarchy, right? And there's a environment of respect.
Okay, sounds good. Everything comprises into the trust bit, but yes, very good.
Yeah, it talks about trust, collaborative capability, and collective ownership.
Okay, again, 2 of 3. Last table first, please. Last one. And then we'll come back to you. Then it's also you. I saw your hand too.
Hello. So it was trust, collaboration, and focus.
Okay, 1 of 3 for now. I still need the words that are coming in my slides. Okay.
Trust, timely delivery, and ownership.
Okay, 2 of 3. Last one.
Yeah, we have trust, collaboration, and complementary skills, cross-functional.
Wow, okay. Okay, I think a lot of you, so maybe, yeah, okay, I will tell you my responses later. Maybe you can watch them through the slides. But well done, a big round of applause for all of you. Thank you. So that at least tells me that, you are working towards building those kind of high-performing teams, which is quite evident from the data that was shared by Dr. Niladri. And I'm just going to point you to some of the data again. So we have the State of DevOps report, which again talks of high-performing teams deploying more and faster. We looked at teams failing less, recovering faster, teams that love automation, applies to all organizations. You've just seen all this data, so I'm not going to repeat that, also in the interest of time. More importantly, I'm just going to highlight a bit on this data that we see, because from the lean product management point of view, yes, you do need empowered teams. And it will be interesting to understand how many of your teams are really empowered to the true sense, okay? I'm not looking for empowered as superficial empowerment. When I say empowered, and we're going to talk of Netflix and how they empower their people. If that's the empowerment that you have in your teams, that's a high-performing team that you are striving towards, okay? So a lot of this data already shared by Dr. Niladri. I guess you've listened to that, so won't go through that. But again, high IT performers, low IT performers, some more data from the report here. A good look into the Netflix DevOps culture, and it was going to be a question from me, but let me just show the data to you. They talk of 100% ownership culture. What do you think 100% ownership culture really looks like? For a company like Netflix, 100% ownership culture for, let's say, a team that is writing microservices looks like this. The team makes the decisions about which language to write it in. They decide on the caching capabilities. They decide on which storage systems to use. They do everything from coding, testing, deploying, supporting, everything end to end. That's the ownership. They do not look for that ownership outside their team. If your team does all of these things, then yes, you are moving one step forward towards what a high-performing team is. That's the direction, because that's the ownership and that's the empowerment that is given to the team. You trust the team with that work that they will satisfy, they will be able to own this bit themselves. In addition, of course, their culture has got much more. You've got on-call 24/7, but they're not asked to be on call. They have a goal of, whatever the goals they define, and they decide as a team, yes, we are going to be able to serve this purpose of this is what we are going to inbuilt into our culture. They do incident reviews and honest and open feedback. Honest and open feedback, again, is something we'll talk a bit further into, but yeah, let's look at this. But essentially, what I'm trying to say is authority, with this example as I see, lies where the information resides. It resides with the people working actually on it. Of course, it comes from the vision, that comes from your transformational leader. Without that, all this is not going to be possible. That environment around that team has to be conducive for your team to become high-performing. Me giving you all this information and you saying, okay, my team's now going to be high-performing, they've gone through these 2 days of training. No, it doesn't work. I do a lot of Agile trainings, and teams come to me, yeah, we've done Scrum, yay, okay, fine. But that doesn't mean that you go back and you can be a truly Agile Scrum team, so to say, if you can start implementing it that way. No, it doesn't work that way. Why? Because your environment's still not conducive to you being Agile. Are you empowered? Are you doing all those other things that allow you to be Agile or get that agility end to end? Are you going to get your servers on time before you start your project, or at least in the first 2 sprints? Maybe not. Your procurement department too needs to be Agile. So end-to-end business agility still hasn't been built, right? So that's what I'm really trying to relate to. So the DevOps culture in Netflix gives us this example. Authority, as I said, then has to lie where the information resides. So really, I'm essentially talking of empowerment here. What does empowerment mean to this team? So this Netflix team is really empowered with all this information, is empowered with all this decision-making capability that they have, which is awesome. I don't need to go to any 10,000 other people to take that from them. What else could empowerment mean? Empowerment means distributing control. Maybe it's not all those decisions at the ground level that need to be taken by the team. It's also a reflexive distribution of control. There are some decisions that I, as a team, don't want to take. I am going to give that empowerment back to my manager or the people around me, whoever are helping me make that environment conducive for my team to be high-performing. Yep. So yes, it's a reflexive relationship. Empowerment is not just top-down, it is also bottom-up. I have teams which give their managers empowerment and say, hey, these are decisions that you need to take, not me. These are management-level decisions, and we don't want to take them. So a technique that we use in the Management 3.0 next-generation management world that I'm a trainer of, we call that 7 levels of delegation, and we help or enable teams take this kind of, or make these kind of decisions in their space to become high-performing. So delegation, top-down plus bottom-up. That's the way we look at empowerment, where 1, 2, and 3 are essentially things that comes from the manager to the teams. The number 4 is standing for agree, and 5, 6, and 7 are things that are sitting more with the team, and they can be delegated up to the manager. It's a technique that we use. We get teams to build delegation boards, and with those delegation boards, of course, you work together with your management or the environment around you. Just one enabler, okay? That's a question for you. When did you last enjoy your work and why? I love to ask this question because not everybody wants to answer it. At least that's what I've seen so far. You might love to answer this question. But you don't have to answer it to me today. I'm not going to take that answer because you might not want to. It's interesting when I ask people, how motivated are you today to get out of bed and go to work just to write that piece of code? Are you so super motivated to do that? A lot of people shy away from that answer because motivation is not easy. And it is important for leaders and managers to figure out what their motivation, their team's motivation is today, or what their own motivation is today. A lot of people say, hey, I'm motivated to do this, and I want to go and coach my team. But does your team want to be coached? Maybe not. So your motivators are different there for coming to work. So it's important for me also to figure out motivators of my own team and help them understand if these are your motivators together individually, but now also as a team, then how do we work together and strive to be a high-performing team? Very important motivators. I'll give you an example of one of the transformation instances where there was change that was going to be rolled out from one of the very senior management persons all the way down to the teams. And I'd figured out that that change is going to impact the top 3 motivators of my teams. And when I figured that, I was like, oh my God, this is going to really disrupt all the work and effort that I've coached this team with now, and that team is probably going to fall down. So I actually went to the management, spoke to them of not changing the way or not changing the message that they were going to bring, but the approach in which they, or the way they shape their message, because so that it doesn't impact the motivators of my team. Because if I lose my team, it's not going to be able to function, right? So yes, it is important to make sure that your team is motivated. Can we actually make them feel motivated? Maybe not, but you can make sure that the environment around them supports that. There is probability of making that happen in the environment around the team. Very important. Again, it's all about the conducive environment that you come to. We use a technique called moving motivators from a next-gen management perspective. We use an acronym called Champ Frogs. For those who win, I am going to give you a Champ Frogs kit. So C stands for curiosity, H for honor, A for acceptance, M for mastery, and so on. So we've come down to these 10 motivators that we believe are important to the team. Nothing stops you from adding or deleting some motivators, but we believe 10 are enough. There are enough books in the market on that. Daniel Pink's Drive talks about it. You have autonomy, mastery, purpose. So many of these keep coming when you talk of motivators. But we believe these 10 are sufficient, and we can look at getting the teams to understand how motivated do we feel. So we've looked at empowerment. We've looked at motivation. What else? We are probably missing structures. We all believe Agile works well with flat structures. Yes and no both, right? But how do we help teams decide the structure? We believe that if you really want to work in a DevOps culture environment or an Agile environment, your culture should support seamless communication. Any culture that is enhancing, or the structure that is enhancing your communication, is really important. And that's the structure that we say choose based on what your need is. We don't say go flat. We don't say go hierarchical. No, it's your need, and see how the team is going to function. So yes, have a structure which is really going to enhance communication. And then we spoke about a culture of failure and risk. It's a VUCA world. We are going to have that, right? Dr. Niladri did speak about that too. So, fail early or do not fail. The culture in Netflix, and also what Jez Humble talks about in organizations like his own, in ThoughtWorks and other organizations that he's worked with, it's interesting that there is this whole culture of failure. Failure is important. Learning from failure is important. I heard of one of these Netflix, A Day in the Life of the Netflix Engineer again, and that's where Dave Hahn talks about them actually looking for unique failures. Why do their teams want to look for unique failures? He's like, we don't want to be stuck in a situation that we are surprised by failures. Let's actively go look for failures. They have tools that support those empowered, high-performing teams to look for those failures. I think they use this, the jargon from the Sybian army, and they have a tool called Chaos Monkey, which really looks for virtual instances in production. It kills them every hour, in production, mind you. So that's awesome if you can look for those and kill those in production, because those are going to die anyway, so why do you want them to stay alive? Chaos Monkey, they've got a tool called Chaos Kong. These are actually looking for failures in production, whether it's about killing a virtual instance, about killing a region or a zone, whatever. But the point is, the culture is actively looking for failing. They are looking for unique failures. They want to build it up that way. Great. They also have, so not just Netflix, but I think there are other companies that I've now worked with. They have this whole culture of finding the real root cause analysis. Anyone can guess what a real root cause analysis could mean? We all do root cause analysis, right? But the real root cause analysis, most of our root cause analysis stop with, hey, Ravi, you did a really bad job. Duh. It stops there. It stops at the person. You click this button, it shouldn't be done. No, Nitin, you did a bad job. No, that's not the culture we are driving to. Okay, you clicked on this and then that happened. Let's figure out what in the system really made that happen. Because finding out whether Nitin clicked on it or Ravi did that is the first step towards you figuring out how we can do better from here. It's not about the person, it's about the system that you need to fix. So these companies have that in place as a mindset, which they call as a real root cause analysis. Let's find what we can fix in that system so that our teams can become more high-performing. Maybe we need to make better tools so that that situation doesn't come again. It was a unique failure, which is great, right? So a lot can be said. So I know Jess Humble has actually said this in one of his videos, and I liked what he said. We can't prevent failure in a complex adaptive system. That's what CAS stands for. But how you recover from it, and how fast is possible you recover from it, how fast you detect it, and how fast you can fix it is really important. That's how quickly you can come out of failure. T-shaped skills, we all move towards T-shaped skills. We all want to build competences in our team, because now it's all about team competences. It's no longer just about individual competences. We look at the team getting solid in their competences, but if you have only this and you don't have all the other components, it's not going to work. That's not your high-performing team. You need the empowerment, you need the motivation, you need good skills on the team. When we say T skills, so of course you could be great in one, but you need to be better in many others. So at least go horizontal on many other skills. And at the end of it, of course, it all comes down to a common shared vision, collective ownership, shared vision from your leader and also of the team that we are working in. With that, I will just summarize by saying, okay, the culture of an organization can best be shaped by the behaviors that a leader is willing to amplify, or negatively put, the negative behaviors that a leader is willing to tolerate, but I think a more positive one works better. So, of course, you cannot build that culture overnight. What can be done is to change or build those guideposts, build the boundaries within which you need to build that culture, and move forward. Okay, so with that, I will close my presentation, say thank you, and questions. We still have 4 minutes.
So what you have discussed, this is very much common for all the projects what we do. Means how it is means how we are differentiating with the DevOps project. Because this is something that for any project, it might be the Agile project, it might be the waterfall project. This is the same thing what we do also. Means why you are thinking that these are the things, means how you are differentiating this, means what are the important things which is required for the DevOps?
Sure. So I think primarily I will go back to the culture of failing. That's not a culture I see definitely in waterfall. I have never seen it. I've worked traditionally as a project manager, waterfall, everything. Never seen a fail culture in waterfall. We always strive for success. Failure is a bad word. It doesn't work. Agile, yes. So I don't discriminate it from Agile. Agile and DevOps, for me, both of these will work in the same culture. And the same mindset that I have for an Agile culture will continue for me from a DevOps point of view. There's no difference for me in that. The culture will be the same. And I think the only reason I wanted to share the examples from a DevOps point of view is because companies like Netflix, Amazon are all embracing the same culture, and they have been able to prove it and come to the numbers that were shared earlier also in the presentation today, where they're able to do a lot of deployments because their teams are able to bring that culture to the table. A lot of us in our organizations, we say that the culture is there, but there's no evidence of that being there because we still end up going to scapegoating, finger pointing, failure is a bad thing. So get away from that.
I would just like to add here, I would just like to add here, remember I picked up a slide which had 6 points, and I said how many of you can at least say that 3 of those are what you are following? This is what we are talking about. So all these leads to that. Can you do those things? If yes, then yes, you are following these. Otherwise, you are not following these.
And if I
So in
the answer was no to all of them.
Yeah, I didn't give up.
Any other questions?
So as you said, in a DevOps culture, why timely delivery is not part of a DevOps culture?
Well, it is, okay, these were just examples, right? So I just picked one of the examples from the Netflix culture. So of course, there's no standard one way or no one size fits all. I think that's also what Niladri's presentation showed. I cannot give you a single silver bullet to give you that answer, but a different team could say, yes, a timely delivery is needed for my DevOps culture, and that's fine.
Here also, let me add on to this. I spoke about the point of not making an event, making it part of life. So there is no concept of timely delivery. Things are there, ready to get deployed. So you can just deploy that whenever you want to deploy. There is no concept of on this date something has to be deployed. You want it to be deployed today as the work has finished, you deploy it immediately. You want to deploy it after 3 days, you deploy it after 3 days. So the deliverable date-oriented concept is gone here. Here we are not talking about a deliverable date. We are talking about how ready we are with the delivery in totality at the earliest.
Right, so I'll just add to that, Niladri. So of course, as a team, if my cultural thinking says in a team, we always want to deploy on time, so be it, and that's okay. Nobody stops us from that.
Thank you. I would like to know the difference, like rapid application development we do talked about, right? How it differs from DevOps. That also talks about as we have ready to deploy, right?
Yeah, I think that's yours. It's not from the culture point of view, so I will not answer.
Okay. So when we are talking about a rapid application development, we are still talking about a development life cycle. Here, what we said is we are not trying to do anything about the development life cycle or anything. What we are trying to do is change the culture in way things are happening, breaking the silo between the development and operations. And it is not only development and operation, we are also bringing in infrastructure, we are also bringing in security, so that whatever that small piece of code or microservice, even at that level, you will see some of these examples when Maninder comes in and shows you live on the show. Each of those has to be complete in all aspects. It is not that we do a monolithic structure and then go for testing, then go for infrastructure. By the time we go to infrastructure says that we will take 3 months to get all the approvals to give you the testing environment. Or even for that matter, even after all those, security comes and says your system failed your security vulnerable test. No, everything has to be done at the same time. It's one squad which is working.
Thank you. See, and one more thing about your change management related to what is the lead time? As you said, you implemented different organization, change culture, adapting agile or whatever it is, right? What is the typical lead time? Of course, it differs depend upon the organization and kind of thing. I would like to know a couple of them. What is the average lead time to change the mindset from traditional to kind of the agile?
I think you know the answer. So, okay,
I know this, but I would like to get it from your experience.
Sure, with pleasure. So, given all the transformations I've done so far, and if you remember the first, when I was introducing myself, I look at every team one after the other. I look at every organization, I look at every department. So there are obviously levels at which I assess and figure out what insights I gather, where I also pick up what is the pace of change in an organization. That's very important because no two things are similar, right? So it could be in the same organization, in the same department, I have two teams, the pace of change is going to be very different. But then I highlight that in my report or insights and say, hey, the pace of change in both of these is different, so maybe the change that I do in this organization is going to work a bit differently, which is XYZ way, versus the other team, which is going to work differently. And then I bring out change in both of them differently. Will it be then that the one which is slower to change changes really slowly? You might be surprised because I've seen some teams which are slow initially to start with, but because I co-create change with everyone, I don't impose change on them. So when I do co-creation, they buy in faster. And that probably leverages on their potential to change faster and adapt faster. So sometimes their pace actually becomes faster than the teams that I thought were going to change really fast.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sarika, for that highly captivating session. Well, Well, ladies and gentlemen, a quick reminder once again, we are running a very special contest for the most social attendee in this DevOps conference. For that, what you have to do is just tweet on Facebook, on Twitter, sorry, please tweet with this hashtag DevOpsPune2017. And the person with the most maximum tweets and the most interesting tweets will get a prize from our site, which we are going to announce at the end of this conference.
So please remember to take your gifts from me in the networking break. Don't forget. Thanks.
Thank you, Sarika. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for a short coffee break. Please proceed to the foyer area right outside this conference room. And this will be followed by one-to-one meetings that you would like to have with any one of our speakers that we have with us today. And please be back in the conference room in straight 15 minutes from now. Thank you. Seats, please. I hope all of you are feeling refreshed after your coffee break. Well, before we move on with the session, may I please request Niladri sir to kindly come up on stage and present a bouquet and token of appreciation to Ms. Sarika Kharbanda. Ma'am, please join us on stage, please. Please give a huge round of applause, guys. Thank you, Sarika, and thank you, sir.